So, just a pro tip, if you find yourself holding up eyeshadow palettes over carpet, before you go and get spot cleaner, try vacuuming up the pigment and dust and all that comes out, and you'll find that you actually can get most of it, and then you can go in with your whatever carpet cleaner things you use. Why is that something I'm bringing up right now? Because it's been a long day already and I just ate lunch. So before we get into what the video is going to be, which is makeup pet peeves, let me introduce myself. If you're new here, my name is Alyssa. If you like makeup content, like talking about beauty things and seeing someone pan their makeup as best as they can, then maybe you'll subscribe to my channel, maybe give this video a thumbs up. And so let's go ahead and get into this. Unfortunately, for me at least, I actually filmed this already. I have the video on my phone, and normally I film on my phone and then I airdrop it to my computer and I do my edits. I can't get it to airdrop, it just keeps giving me errors. I think it might be because it was a bigger one than I've done before, but when I tried shortening, and just maybe sending a short video, it wouldn't let me do that. I tried putting it in a shared album to then do it, but apparently it's too long for that. So basically, I'm going to try to remind myself as I film this right now to stop myself every so often, so there's going to be cuts because of that, and hopefully this will be better. But basically, it's been that kind of day already, if you know what I mean. So, makeup pet peeves. I'm sure that if you are also a makeup user, lover, and all, you have your own pet peeves. Maybe you can share some in a comment below, but I tried to narrow it down to 10 pet peeves, and hold on one moment. My computer went to sleep on me. So I have my pet peeves written down or typed out over there, and some of them are things that could be fixed by makeup companies and some of them not so much. So I'm going to start off by talking about packaging problems. So my first makeup pet peeve is packaging that is easily dirtied. So what I mean, this palette, if you are returning on my channel, you'll know that this is pretty new for me. And it's already dirty, okay? It already looks like I've had it for at least a year and that I've done a lot of stuff to it. Now, is it because it's a lighter color? Maybe. Is it the material? Maybe. Can I get some of it off if I clean at it? Yes. Do I want to be cleaning my palettes like that though? Like the outside? No. I'll sometimes clean up the inside a bit, just, because that's where my actual makeup is, but the outside, it is what it is. But I will say that I have had other palettes for much longer with brighter colors and all that I'm working with, and they don't look the same. So for instance, I have this palette from Juvia's Place, the Zulu palette. Here I am, I'm gonna get some more eyeshadow, probably dropped out, but very colorful, okay? And yeah, the inside, it's got, I could probably clean that up a bit. But the outside, not bad. I mean, granted, I think this I don't know. I think that this was white, and it does seem to be a little bit more pinky now. So I don't know if that is, yeah, but as far as staining with the different colors like this one has, this one looks better. So I think it's not necessarily the color of the palette, although that it would help if it was darker, but something about this material, maybe it's just a little bit slippery that keeps the colors from sticking to it as much. So yeah, that's one of my makeup pet peeves. Okay, makeup pet peeve number 2, plastic for everything. I put especially for eyeshadow palettes, and let me show you. So, I mean, I have different ones, and some are better than others. I mean, like, this isn't terrible. I've had it for a while. I've traveled with it. It's held up well. You know, it has a little mirror that you can, like, stand with it, which is handy. So, you know, this one, not terrible. And it's from e.l.f. So that kind of gets me into something else later when we talk about, you know, oh, is it that something's cheaply made? But, I mean, this is cheap. So I assume it's probably also cheaply made, but yet it's, I guess, well made. But I will say it's still bulkier than it needs to be, okay? Which often happens with plastic packaging. So another plastic packaging, not as well made. So Makeup Revolution is like, oh, well, it's cheap. Again, this is cheap, this is cheap, but this stayed together, this, and you could be like, oh, well, you've had it for a long time. Yes, but this happened sooner than that. I think this was one of my ones that made a mess earlier, so I'm being very careful. But yeah, so is part of it that the mirror is very heavy, and that wasn't well thought out, because then of course it's going to break over time. I would say that was a large part of it. It's just, yeah, and like the feel of the plastic is cheaper, and the whole time I'm, you know, thinking about how it just doesn't feel as good. Like, you know, I'm gonna be done with this palette soon because it's not performing as well. I've certainly gotten a lot of use out of it, so, you know, I don't feel bad about that, but it's just going to get thrown out. Like, you can't recycle the plastic in this, you know, I mean, and even if they say you can recycle some plastic, all the ways that they're doing the plastic recycling, like, they can't recycle all the plastic that is actually even possible. And is this possible? I mean, it doesn't say anything, and it's not like they make it easy to do so. I don't think so. So I would rather just have, you know, all these different kinds of cardboard packagings and things like that. And I don't need a mirror. You know, like, the mirror can be fine. Like, I have them occasionally, but, you know, as far as like doing my makeup on a regular basis, I actually just use a hand mirror that I hold up, or I use my bathroom mirror. And then for if I'm traveling, usually I'm doing my makeup in the bathroom and there's a mirror there. If I want to go elsewhere, then I just make sure that I have something with a mirror when I go. And so it might just be that I bring a small mirror, you know, but usually, like, I'm bringing one of my singles palettes or something like that, and those have a mirror, and it's part of the reason that I get these, because then, you know, I could take it with me. So I would just rather have something like, you know, in general, these kinds of packaging, because they tend to be slimmer and, you know, a little bit more compact. I feel like, well, when I'm done with this, like, I could technically kind of tear it apart. You know, like, the metal pans could be recycled, the cardboard can be recycled. Mirrors usually can't be, and so it's like there's no mirror here. So, you know, this feels a little bit more sustainable. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of how I feel about that. Okay, makeup pet peeve. I have lost track of what number I'm on. I think it might be 3, but it could be 4. Either way, packaging that is easily broken. And some of it you could say is, you know, that it's cheap and that's what happens. So like my Makeup Revolution palette, I don't know, it feels like they could have done better. Other times, you know, it's, I mean, this is also Makeup Revolution. So here's an example of a highlighter they did not do well because it just had one little small plastic thing and it easily, you know, snapped off over time because you're going to keep opening it, closing it like day after day of using it. But this was also Makeup Revolution. This one's still fine. And I've had this for almost as long as that other one, which I don't want to say how old I think they are, but it's old. I will say I don't really use them much, but yeah, so still doing fine. You know, I think at some point this used to kind of maybe more stand up and so it's like looser, but you know, there's maybe a little bit of where I can see like a little bit of cracking on the back, but considering like if this broke at this point, I would be more okay with it because I know that I've opened and closed it for a long time before it had anything wrong. This is basically the same packaging as from Wet n Wild, and yet, yeah, these break pretty much immediately. Like there's like these, and then what's annoying also is like the little pieces then that are holding them together, and then like you find them and it's like, wait, what is this from? What was this supposed to be doing? And then it's like, oh, it's from my makeup. Like fine, but like I worry it's like from some important other thing that I'm missing. So yeah, this is very frustrating. Because people say Wet n Wild is cheap. I mean, it is, but it's still, you're still paying, you know, money for it. It's not even like it's $1, it's multiple dollars. I mean, this was probably, I don't know, when I got it, like $4 or $5, I would think. And so, yes, I would want it to be able to last at least a year before it would have cracking. And I have other things like that. But then I want to point out that NARS, speaking of packaging that can get dirty easily, although this is the only thing I've had from them. Oh, wait, I had a lip product, like a crayon thing before. But also snapped off, you know, and I certainly haven't treated this product very roughly because it's not a favorite. Like I have not used it a ton. So this should not be already looking like, you know, the way that it did. Like it broke a while ago, but it was like starting, like the plastic basically chipped off. And so there you go again with plastic. Like, you know, when plastic starts to go bad, like it, you know, it cracks off and then it weakens and all that. The cardboard stuff, like things might get a little dented, but everything's still fine and it stays together. And it's not like, you know, unless I started tearing my palettes apart, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, next makeup pet peeve, sticking with packaging, is packaging that is hard to open. Now, some packaging could be hard to open for different reasons. You know, maybe you have trouble like unscrewing things, you know, things like that. My issues are not as much that. Maybe it's just the, trying to look around. Yeah, now the makeup I have is really a lot of like unscrewing or stuff like that. I mean, like concealers, but I think they're kind of done well enough, you know, it's fine. But I don't like the ones where they're like a snap closure, and in order to open it, I feel like I'm either going to damage my nails or, you know, like chip them if I have on nail polish or something. Now, this Milani one isn't terrible, but I still have to be like careful. I can't just like, oh, wait, really? Now I did it. But I will say, I had to kind of push hard on it, which sometimes my hands bother me and I can't do that as easily. So I have to kind of more use my nail. Although what I have been doing, oh, it's not here right now because I washed it. I have a little like makeup spatula, like little mini thing that I will use then to just kind of go in and pop things open so that I'm not hurting my nails. So this one can be an issue, but the bigger one is this e.l.f. one, because the Milani one, there's a little more of a gap here, whereas the e.l.f. one is so tiny, and I swear they're trolling me. I think this one might also be opening a little bit easier now than it used to because it's older, and so it's not quite as stiff, but it definitely does, you know, I hate when I have to like, I guess I also just don't want to think about it. I don't want to have to be like, oh, okay, let me be careful not to, you know, mess up my nails. Whereas I should have had this one out. I want to think about like this blush from Juvia's Place is magnetic, and then boom, you know, it's like so easy to open and close it, no big deal. And it doesn't open easily like in a makeup bag if I was traveling with it, so it's fine. So yeah, I much prefer this kind of packaging. So if I had to choose. Okay, now we're going to transition into makeup pet peeves that are not about the packaging, but more about what's inside them. So first of these makeup pet peeves is when there are multiple eyeshadows in a palette that are basically the same, especially when you use them on the eyes. So I was trying to look around, and I really don't have eyeshadow palettes with that problem because I on purpose try to buy ones that don't have that, you know, they do look different. Now, you know, I mean, I'm not perfect, so I might think that something looks different and then it's not. But like my blend bunny palette, you might think, oh, some of those shades could look very similar, but I've swatched them. I knew, I looked at people's swatches ahead of time anyway, but I can tell you that they are actually all different shades, so no problem there. And when some shades are similar in certain palettes I have, sometimes it's more that one's more cool toned or warm toned, so it's not as bad as like it might look like they're the same. I will say, well, I was gonna say this one is kind of like that, where there are like a lot of these are pretty similar. And especially like having the satin is not that different from the matte because the satin doesn't have much shine to it. So I do feel like it's a little bit much that maybe they didn't need to have all of those. Like we could have had like maybe some more purple actually, or I don't know, just yellow, something like that, just like other shades. So that's something for that one. And I was gonna say that my Juicy Boost palette, this row here, they are different, and I know why they're there, but I do kind of wish that there was maybe a little bit more of a difference between them. So, I will say that even with my palettes, I have that. And then there's one other palette. See, you have good packaging. This one is actually nice and sturdy. This one might be plastic because I doubt this is metal, and this one is done well, but maybe that's why it costs more. I don't know. But this Tartus palette, so this orange and this orange basically are the same. They're slightly different, but if I was making a palette, I wouldn't have put both in there. Same with this darker gray and this lighter gray. You really don't need to have both. I feel like in most cases, it's not like you can make an eye look using both of those and have them look different. So why do I need both? Okay, and I just feel like I don't know why makeup brands do this all the time, where like they'll have like a 9 shade palette and you're looking through and it's like there are 2 blues that are almost the same, and it's like, well, but why? Was it a cheaper thing to get 2 shades that were similar in color than to have them a little bit more different? Like, I don't know why that happens, because it feels like you would get more people to buy your stuff if you made them more different. But that's just my opinion. Okay, next pet peeve for stuff that's in the palette. I'm sticking with this palette because it's an offender of it. I don't like dark shimmery shades, but not, okay, let me give that, let's see. Right here, I have in my Makeup Revolution, like this brown is a darker color and it's shimmery, although it is a little bit more satin, but I'm okay with it because it goes on. I can use it to deepen up a look. Maybe I don't always want to do, like I don't always use a lot of matte eyeshadows. It just depends on my mood. So that's fine. I could use that to deepen up and it works kind of like a metallic because it goes on where I put it. I can blend it a bit, that's all good. But I'm talking about shades like this black, which basically is like a black, I guess it's more like glittery shades where you have that base pigment and then the glitter just kind of flies away. Or maybe it goes on and then it just falls over your face. Maybe while you're doing the look and you can try to clean up, but then it makes a mess because it's dark and it tends to like kind of stain where it falls. Or maybe it falls during the course of the day, and that would also be really annoying. Same with this one. It's like, oh, these are different. It's black with like the sparkly things and black with purple sparkly things. But no, they basically look the same because they both have the same problem. And, I try to use them as eyeliner. It's like, oh, like that could be like, I get a dark eyeliner, but I get a little sparkle, but the sparkle just kind of goes over. And like, just for whatever reason, the formula of this type of eyeshadow, not just from Tarte, but just from other ones, it just always seems to be the most likely to have fallout and make a mess, and it's usually something I do near the end of my look, and then yeah, makeup pet peeve. Next makeup pet peeve: shimmery blushes that are really just shimmery, and I guess then maybe you should say that they should really be called a highlighter and not a blush, and I guess that's kind of my problem with it. So I have it for both of these because they're basically the same. The NARS, it looks better on the finger than it does when I actually use it. So this is their famous shade, the O shade. And my problem is that I want that pink color, but you can actually kind of see maybe as I do it in the pan, I don't know. I'm not sure how well my camera focuses with this, but you just end up seeing the shimmer that's in there, and that's what ends up on my face, okay? And the same with this Wet n Wild. So it says baked blush, okay? I'm not being all weird here and like making a highlighter into it, because I have, you know, pardon that noise, I have this is highlighting powder, this is blush, but they're basically the same. This is just paler. So this was definitely, I think, trying to be kind of a dupe almost. But like, look, it's just shimmery, okay? And you don't get that pink color that's there really. Like you just end up getting glittery stuff. And if I do more layers of it, I don't get that pink. I just keep getting more layers of shimmer, and I don't want that. I want to have, you know, like I said, the pink look. I don't understand the appeal of the NARS shade because I don't get that pink blush look. I just get the shimmeriness like on my cheek and barely any pink. So for me, you know, I'm okay with like, I'll show you like a satin blush or something. So another broken packaging problem. The Milani blush I have here is more of a satin. This one's kind of a satin, but I'm okay with the satin shades. I still kind of prefer more of a matte cheek, but I'd rather have a satin because then usually I get more of the actual color, and then, you know, maybe there's a little bit of sheen to it. Or I do have some, like that Juvia's Place. Okay, so this one does actually have that sparkle to it, but I get, like, I mean, when I swatch it, look, like I am actually getting blush color, you know, I'm not just getting the shiny stuff. And so, you know, as I build it up, yeah, there is some of the sparkle, but I am still just basically building up a blush because blush and highlighter should be different. Another eyeshadow shade that I don't enjoy having in palettes is a random beige shade. All right, so I'm talking about how like in the Magic palette, try not to make a mess, but I have this beige shade here. Now, yes, I have used it. Okay, so I will say that. Same with my Tartist palette, another random beige shade. This one is maybe a little bit lighter than the other one, but still similar thing. I don't really have, I think the other ones are different. Yeah, the other ones are fine. So my problem with it is that for me, it's not actually light enough to be a lid setting shade. So I can't use it for that. I can use it to blend things out a bit. So, you know, for that, okay. But I would say that for a lot of people, it might actually still be too light for them. You know, that like they could use another shade to blend out. And I just feel like if that's because often when they use it, that's the lightest shade. So like my Makeup Revolution palette, I can't show you, but it had a white shade. It wasn't the most pigmented, but it was a white. So I could use it to blend out, but I could also use it like as a lid setting. I could use it to brighten something up. I feel like with these beiges, they don't really brighten anything. And again, maybe this is a problem with me being fair skinned. Maybe other people would have a different opinion, so feel free to let me know. But I mean, I would say, so like I have this Juicy Boost palette, and this is, you know, from Colored Rain, so they're known for making their palettes like, you know, good for deeper skin tones, also works on lighter skin tones. So, you know, like we can pretty much wear whatever. So they have this like white shade in here. So, you know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like a white shade is more useful to have because anyone can use it to like, I mean, it will brighten, you know, your look. So you can use it for that. You could use it to kind of blend something out. You know, also having pastels can help with that. And especially if they're made in a way that is suitable for, you know, multiple skin tones, but like having like that mix. I was gonna also then kind of show my Blend Bunny palette. So I do actually kind of wish that one of these shades was a little bit brighter if I could pick, because there isn't really a super bright shade. They're light shades, but they're not brightening shades, if that makes any sense. Unless I want to use a shimmer for that. But, you know, I mean, I can go to other palettes. Like, I know that's always a thing. But for me, I want an eyeshadow palette to have the full, like, kind of range in there so that I could have light, medium, and dark. I don't care if it has all the colors, you know, all the possible undertones, something like that. But just to be able to have, you know, something bright, something dark, and then something in the middle for me. So I would kind of like it to have like a little bit more brightness, but I've been able to make it work. Like this shade it is a beige, but I feel like it's a little bit paler than, actually, let me just see. Because I'm like, I feel like it is paler than these other ones. But let me go ahead and do it right now. Yes. I think it's that it has like a little bit more pink to it. And like, so like this is the Blend Bunny. And this is the Juvia's Place. Okay, so if it focuses. So the Juvia's Place has a little bit more of a yellow to it, a little bit more orangey that I can actually like see. And the pink just kind of comes off, that's like slightly pink, that it is a bit more brightening. Oh yeah, and then when I put it on my hand, I kind of swapped did I swap it? I don't know. But this is the Blend Bunny one. So it's lighter than the Juvia's Place one. And so again, like if I want to be able to brighten the look, you know, that there's something I can use. So yeah, so I get annoyed. Like I'd rather you just not have a beige shade at all and just do something that's bright. So having pastels, you know, like even if like you're not going to use the white, if it wasn't here, I mean, because actually I don't need to use the white that often in this palette because I have this like the pale yellow and pink and green and all that I can use those lighter tones with the other ones, so that works as well. I feel like it's almost like I'm trying to save the white because it seems like so, I mean, it is, to me it's like a nice, like it's white. So I like that, but I'm like I should make use of it. But yeah, so give me pastels, but give me brightening shades. Don't just give me beige. Beige is not helpful. But like I said, maybe, you know, for deeper complexions, is beige more helpful than white? Let me know. And then, you know, maybe I'll get off of that as being a pet peeve. So, okay, I have 2 more makeup pet peeves for you. So the first one is again about things that are included in palettes. So my problem is that with a lot of the newer palettes, they're doing lots of and I should say for indie brands, because mainstream brands are certainly not doing this yet. But a lot of them are including a whole bunch of multi-chromes or holographic shadows, you know, and things like that, that basically look the same, especially within a palette. You know, I don't really care if, oh, all the different palettes are including a blue that shifts to green and purple or something like that. Like, okay, you know, that's fine. Like there's often popular shades that sprout up. It's more that they all seem to have, like they might look different initially, and so you get excited about the palette and then you realize that they have the same shift. So I don't have any of those, because if you're a common visitor on my channel, then you know that I don't buy a lot of palettes. But just to kind of give my own example, I have two eyeshadows that, let's see, best way to show you. They're both from Terra Moons. So I have this one here, okay? And then I have this other one here, okay? And they look, granted, they don't look as different in the pan as I kind of thought when I was getting them. So it was partially that. But, you know, if you look at them on my fingers, I feel like they do look a little different though from each other. But I want to point out that they have essentially the same flip to them, okay? And that's kind of what I'm talking about, that when I use it in a look, they might look slightly different. And like on my fingers, I feel like it looks more different than it does on applied. So like the one shade looks like it has more of like a blue or something like that, and the other one looks more like a white kind of shine. But what did I get? I got like something else now on my hand here. And like again on my hand, they actually still look different. One looks darker than the other. Okay, ignore, I apparently had some sort of pigment or something in the middle of my hand. Let me move these. But when I put them with, you know, different eyeshadow looks, and maybe this is also just me needing to learn more how to use them, they basically do look the same. And I end up liking the slightly brighter one more just because I like bright eyeshadow lids and things like that. But, you know, I wish that, you know, like imagine if these were in the same palette. And so sometimes that seems to happen where it's like they look different, and then when people actually go to use them or show, you end up seeing mostly one color. Yes, if I was in like special lighting, you know, this kind of look, you see something, you know, like the holographic, like people show, you can see all the rainbow, you know, reflection and all with it. But then are you really in that kind of lighting most of the time? No, the holographic is all just going to kind of look grayed out and silver, and that can still be pretty. But if you have like one holographic that was like blue but with the gray silver, another one's like green with the blue silver, and then pink, you're just going to end up having a whole bunch of like this silvery look most of the time, and you don't get that rainbow look. You don't get to see as much of that. And so these shades are making the palettes cost more, and it also just makes it more of the whole, like, again, what I said earlier about having shades that repeat themselves. Maybe they're not the exact same, but if they kind of end up looking that way, why do I need to buy them? So that's why I haven't actually been buying a lot of these really pretty looking indie palettes that are coming out, because, you know, I'm kind of just instead like, well, I have some multi-chrome shades. I'm going to stick with what I have, my little singles and things like that, and use them with these other like matte eyeshadow palettes and all that I might buy, and kind of mix and match that way. And, you know, pick and choose the colors. Because if I have, you know, 10 different multi-chromes, are they really going to look that dramatically different from each other? Am I going to be able to get full use out of them? Was it worth my money? Or should I just, you know, have a few and go through them? And that's kind of where I'm at right now. And then my final makeup pet peeve is not anything that makeup brands and all can fix. It's more just a thing that bothers me. Sharpening pencils, especially the creamy type. So my lip liners are not the creamiest, so it's not a big deal with them. I've had some that are creamier and it's a pain, but like these NYX jumbo sticks, I hate sharpening them, because the actual, like, you know, the makeup part, it makes a mess. And when I try to clean it out of the sharpener, and it gets all over my hands, and it, especially the black one, and it is so creamy, so it just spreads and spreads, and like you can't just get it off easily, you know. And by the time I do that, it's like I want to get makeup remover, but I don't want to get my makeup remover container all back, you know, and the soap just doesn't cut it, because, you know, it does stay on pretty well. And, you know, the white is not so bad, but that's why I have this type of thing happen, where this should be sharpened, because I can see like I must have done like a yellow look or something with this as the base, and I would like it to go back to being white. but I just don't want to sharpen it because I don't like the mess. So, do you have a solution for that? Maybe I just need a different sharpener. I don't know. Maybe it's my sharpener's problem. But anyway, if you have your own makeup pet peeves, please let me know in the comments below. And if you have any fixes for my makeup pet peeves, then I would love to hear it, because I like to have fixes for problems and not just sit and stew with my problems. And also, before you go, maybe you'll subscribe to my channel. Maybe you'll give this video a thumbs up. I hope you enjoyed hearing me talk about all my makeup pet peeves for my second time today. So I guess I've been doing a lot of whining today. But it's just to, you know, me and anyone else who feels like watching. So thank you for joining me. I hope you're doing well wherever you are. And until the next video, bye.